morning. Can you all hear me? Perfect. Great. That's a good start. Welcome to today's first session hosted by Playrcart, and thanks to Ben and the team at MadFest for having us back. We were here a couple of years ago, virtually of course, and we met some great clients and the likes of AB and Bev, who we are now running some really cool campaigns with. Playrcart is the only transactional ad tech company in the world, and we work with global clients such as L'Oreal, Nestlé, and Children's National Hospital. As you can see from this L'Oreal example, a consumer has the opportunity to transact within the ad unit. What you're seeing here is an open web example, but it can translate to all the different channels as well, such as social commerce and live streaming. A consumer also inputs their first-party data, which is owned by our clients. So Playrcart enables you to transact higher sales and get that first-party data from within the ad unit. So I'm joined here today by Richard, Playrcart's CTO, and our Senior Digital Director at GumGum, Josh. Rich has been instrumental in building the Playrcart tech. He's worked tirelessly alongside our founder, Glenn Dormio, who's somewhere here today. Oh, hi, Glenn. He's at the back there. And Rich is going to explain to you a little bit about the privacy and data challenges we face. Josh from GumGum has collaborated with Playrcart to deliver a campaign for Vodafone that saw transactions and conversions skyrocket. So he's going to share a little bit more about that later with you, and I can't wait for him to do that. But just as a little teaser, one of the judges from the Performance Marketing Awards, which happened just a little over a month ago, awarded Vodafone with one of the awards for innovation. And they said that they are a sucker for a global first, and that they love the fact that something as innovative as Playrcart actually works. So you don't just have to take it from me, the tech actually does work. So advertising is shifting, and we all know that. We have to face a world where we don't have cookies. We have to face a world where there are constant iOS changes, and that then promotes some challenges for us in gathering first-party data in a way that our consumers will accept. We also are asking our consumers to purchase a product or maybe enter a competition or whatever call to action it might be in a very, very complex way. And therefore, what's happening in the industry-wide is the fact that we are getting really, really high bounce rates. And in fact, only 0.02% of consumers will convert once they first see an ad. Now, what Playrcart's doing is enabling your consumers to have an Amazon-like shopping experience from the moment they first see the ad, rather than going through a convoluted, complex process to actually get to conversion. They can transact, or another call to action, within a few easy steps across any channel, whether it's social commerce like here, or whether it is the open web. Playrcart's therefore enabling conversions to go up quite significantly. So what I'm going to do now is hand over to Rich. He's the expert when it comes to things data and privacy.
Thanks, Sam. Woo. Hi, everybody. Good morning. So the theme of this part of MadFest is around privacy. And I think there's one thing that we can all agree on, is that our lives would be much, much easier in our roles if we didn't have to worry about privacy at all. But we absolutely do, and we know that. Now, as you've just seen, part of Playrcart's core role is to capture personal data. Therefore, it was something we needed to consider right from the start when we started looking at this platform. So, of course, that involves core architectural decisions. It involves the way that we transfer and store data. And it also really involves the way that we the way that we delete that data as well. So we have a staged process, which means that after people have used and transferred that data, it's overwritten and removed from the system. So that's built into the DNA of the way that we do things as a company. But more and more when people ask about privacy and talk about privacy tools, what they're really talking about now is the way that third-party cookies are coming to an end and what are they going to do next. They know that brands have to find new ways of communicating with their customers and building that audience. And I think initially that sounded very bleak and people didn't really know what that was going to mean. But targeted advertising is not really going to come to an end. It's just on the verge of change and a revolution almost. Now, we're going to go back one. I think that generally as advertisers we are becoming increasingly familiar with these individual reasons as to why we're heading towards a cookieless world. We already know a lot about GDPR. We've been doing it for a few years now. We understand consent and we understand what consent frameworks look like. We know that iOS 14 tracking changes have already come into play. So we're only getting 25% of the data that we used to. We know that Safari and Firefox have already blocked those third-party cookies, and we know that Google is doing soon too. And we know that's the big one. That's early of next year. But we're familiar with those, and actually it doesn't sound so complicated now. The problem feels like something that we understand and we can start to talk to people about. Now, I'm not completely convinced that all brands understand those problems in depth, but I am convinced that we as advertisers are starting to get a really good grasp on that. Now, as a technology guy, it's the solutions that I get really excited about, and there's loads of solutions out there. There are lots of things starting to hit there. We've got identity solutions, we've got collecting first-party data directly, digital fingerprinting, contextual advertising, Google Privacy Sandbox, user identity graphs, publisher-provided identifiers, data pools, loads of solutions. But the issue is that we don't understand those solutions quite as well as we understand the problem. I think that's the phase that we're at. We understand the problem, but the solutions themselves still feel a little bit complicated. Now, we haven't got a lot of time for all of this detail here today in all of these, but what I can tell you is that half of these solutions rely on first-party data at some point down their process. I can also tell you that at Playrcart, the clients and the prospects that we're talking to, the majority of them are asking us about how can they collect first-party data. And on top of that, there are official surveys that are telling us that 57% of brands are regarding first-party data collection as being foundational to the way they're going to progress and start building an audience. So there's lots and lots of ways that we as a group can start to actually collect this first-party data. We've just seen an example here where we can perform a transaction and collect a new customer all within a single ad unit. But of course we can also use it to sign up for a discount code. We could use it to request a sample. We can use it to enter a competition, join a mailing list, and anything else that we can really imagine in that space. So there really are no limits to what we can be doing to help brands collect that first-party data. We're going to start by looking at one such case study that we worked on with Josh here from GumGum.
Thanks, Richard. That was top stuff, mate. So now we're looking at the juicy bit, I guess. This is where we're going to go into the Vodafone case study. So I'm going to run through sort of the problem they had, the solution that we had with Playrcart, and then also the results. But first, a little bit of background. So GumGum, I'm not sure if you're all aware, they're a contextual first ad tech business. So we're very much at the heart of this privacy theme and the heart of like cookieless solutions. So Vodafone have been working with GumGum for the past sort of 3 or 4 years, working on contextual and cookieless campaigns, but then also testing lots of our creative features and formats and using that as a test and learn strategy, all measured through Lumen attention research as well, which I think is key. So the problem that Vodafone had was that essentially the pay-as-you-go free SIM card offering that they have is on the decline, put simply. It's not getting the traction that it used to get. So they really needed a unique solution to take to market to be able to get users to convert in a much quicker way. So the solution was obviously GumGum partnering with Playrcart in order to have fully transactional desktop and mobile skins. So this is great for obviously big brand awareness, as you can see through the desktop skin format, but then also the conversion element with the free SIM card unit integrated into the ad. So this was obviously a great user journey. Essentially, it's a really simple process. The user pops in their details, their name, their email, pops in their postcode to find their delivery address, and then they opt in a privacy-first, consumer-consented way in order to pass that information over to Lola Grove, who is Vodafone's CRM platform, and that all gets transferred over to Lola Grove, and that order goes through as if it was done on the website. But in this case, there's no need to go to the website, which I think is the key thing. So the results not just performed emphatically well for brand metrics, they also did extremely well for performance metrics. So we're really converging and merging both brand awareness and performance all in one desktop and mobile format. So in terms of brand metrics, it delivered amazing sort of brand metrics like viewability, 45 seconds in view time, but then also attention metrics, which we measure through Lumen Research. So we can go into a bit more detail on that separately. But I think the key things are the two performance metrics that we really delivered on. So the first one being there was 14 times more conversions of free SIM cards directly attributed to the transactional unit when it's placed in our skin formats. So they had 14 times the amount of orders than they would usually get. So they're driving huge incremental orders with our formats, which I think is truly astonishing. So we know it works. Secondly, which I think is also really, really good, is we touched on most users probably click on an ad 1% of the time, and then they go through to the website, have 22 clicks to be able to actually order a SIM card. What we found was we drove over 2% click-through rate, which we're all media people, we're all advertising people. The difference between 1% and 2% in our industry is actually quite huge. So that obviously drives the cost efficiencies down and makes it stand out. So just on touching on that again, we're driving quality site traffic as well, because what we know is that users not necessarily want to transact within the actual unit. They might actually be more inclined to do it on the website. And I think as user adoption and the technology improves and people get more used to it, that will only improve in the future as well. So overall, this was a full funnel approach, delivering brand awareness right down through to conversion. And as the guys noted earlier, this won a Performance Marketing Award a few weeks ago for the best programmatic campaign, which we're all super chuffed on, and also delivering on the metrics for Vodafone, most importantly. And I'll just leave you with a quote from Richard over at Vodafone, and how we're evolving their campaigns and contextual and cookieless solutions for Vodafone in the future. So just want to open it up to questions from you guys. I'm not sure if anyone wants to put their hand up and ask a few questions, but would be delighted to answer a few of those for you. You run over? We might not be able to hear us, might we?
Yeah, can we hear you? Technical problems at a tech event are always great.
They should just work, I think.
Yeah, it should be good.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Really good presentation. Thank you very much for that. So I understand that you're able to transact within the ad unit on social or open web. That's cool. But how do you get the product to the customer once you've done that order within the unit?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you don't have to change anything in terms of your normal setup. Playrcart simply integrates with your D2C solution or your preferred retailer through a live open API. Any other questions?
I've got a question. I thought fantastic presentation and clear to see how you're
Thank you,
winning
everyone,
awards
for
across
listening.
this.
Oh.
Just a quick question in terms of privacy in general. I really like your approach to this. It's very unique. Are you hearing more and more from brands asking you about their privacy challenges? Is that on the increase? How are you finding the questions coming in from brands and agencies?
I mean, I think that plays in a little bit to the section I was talking about there, in that I don't believe that they fully understand that depth of what those privacy challenges are. The brands that we deal with, they have their own departments who are looking after privacy. They have in-depth InfoSec processes that all of their suppliers like us have to go through to look after it. But I do think there's a little bit of depth there, a little bit that we have to provide solutions for rather than details as to what those issues are.
Excellent, thank you. And I think it's a perfect partnership. I love it when two ad tech suppliers get together and build something fantastic like this. Also, I believe you guys have some insight case study that you've put together. So the guys here have a picnic table, I believe. So please go and find them and find out some more information about how they're dealing with the privacy challenge today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.